Yes, it's another edition of the Irie 98 podcast. Yours truly, Rusty G here. I have a very, very special guest here with me today, the Honorable Minister Owen Darrell JP MP. He is here representing the Ministry of Tourism and Transport, Culture and Sport, and here to talk about the Bermuda National Events and Entertainment Committee, the brand new committee that was just formed. We're going to get into it, talk about what it is, why it exists, and everything that you need to know about it at this particular point in time, all right? So stay tuned. We'll get right to it.
Absolutely.
In the spot. How you doing?
I'm good. Rusty, it's good to see you back. I've seen you on different podcasts and different clips all over the world. So thank you for continuing to do the work, spreading your work and the work of Bermuda as well across the world. I've seen you in Notting Hill. I've seen you in Germany. I've seen you on Ubasoka.
All over the place,
I've seen you everywhere. Yeah. So keep up the good work.
Well, I think this is the first time we've ever had a chance to sit down and talk about anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? So welcome to Irie 98. Welcome to the station, the studio. Your first time here, correct?
Thank you. Thank you to you and your partners. You are doing, again, excellent work. I got an opportunity to tour your space before you actually went live, and I'm happy to be back here to have my first podcast in the station. So keep up the good work.
Thank you. And so we are here to talk about this new thing, this new initiative that I'm actually a part of as well, that you've included me on. So we're talking about the Bermuda National Events and Entertainment Committee today, specifically. Yeah. Where did this come about? Why did this start? What whose idea was it? Let's get into it.
Well, it actually goes back about 2 years. You will recall that I was first appointed as the minister responsible for youth culture and sport. And 2 years ago, the premier added tourism to that portfolio. I gave youth to another minister, and it became the ministry at that time of tourism, culture, and sport. And there were some individuals that said, well, how does that make any sense? How do you put tourism with culture and sport?
I might have been one of those people.
You might have been one of those?
So break it down for us, for the people that were a little bit confused, because it sounds like a huge job. Well, it sounds like so much for one person. So break down your average day.
Absolutely. So let me go back. If you look at the Caribbean region and you go through many of the governments in the Caribbean, you will see that their tourism portfolios a lot of times are connected to their cultural portfolios. And, you know, you go to Trinidad. I know many Bermudians like to go down to Trinidad Carnival, and they have an entire ministry that is, you know, it's changed recently, but it was, you know, the Ministry of Culture that also connected to, you know, the carnival and everything else that they did. So it was a view that we wanted at the time, the Bermuda Tourism Authority, to focus on selling and marketing Bermuda. And we wanted them to focus on that. But at the time, they were, you know, doing a lot of event planning and
correct,
and they called it experiences, right?
And still are.
And that is important. But we felt that, you know, because we do not have a department of tourism under government anymore, we felt, well, we can take what we are doing, the government, which is investing in tourism, and put that directly with the investments that we're making in culture and sport. Around the world, you've heard of sports tourism. You've heard of you know, a lot of Bermudians just came back, and on the front page of today's paper, you will see that the chair of the Bermuda Arts Council, Ms. Shanna Hollis, has put a beautiful mural in Miami. And more Bermudians just came back from, I think it called it Art Basel.
Yeah.
Right? And that was huge.
Which is a big deal.
It's a big deal. So when you are able to put tourism, connect it with culture, and then connect it with even sports tourism, it is something that people recognize the world over. Jamaica has successfully done it, and other places in the Caribbean has successfully been able to merge their events that come with culture with getting people to their island. So 2 years ago, we saw tourism merge with culture and sport. And at the time, we said, well, let's try to hire someone. Let's hire someone who's going to be dedicated to putting on local events that also attract tourists to come to Bermuda.
Right.
And, you know, as you look for the right person, you start saying, well, this person has a background in sports, but they don't really know much about the arts culture. And then you say, well, this person is very good and they've been in the art space for a very long time, but they may not have expertise in the sports culture. And then you have individuals say, well, they may not know about tourism and how do we merge that with the BTA. So after some discussions with a lot of my counterparts in the Caribbean, and that's where some of these meetings and you actually get to network and understand, well, what are you doing down in St. Kitts? You would have seen that I had the minister from St. Kitts here for Cup Match, and they said, well, what do you do? And their sugar mass is coming up in a couple of weeks. So you have that, and you talk to other ministers, you say, well, how are you doing it in Trinidad? How are you doing it in Barbados? Because I was there for Carafesta. And what you keep hearing is you don't want to take it on by yourself, Minister. You want to give the experts in your country, the experts, you get them all in a room and create a committee. And then you have the expertise, which you have now seen and you are a part of, where we have experts in the room from cultural aspects. We have artists, we have musicians, we have, event planners. We have a lot of people in the
whole
room.
gambit.
DJs, we have individuals from the Bermuda Tourism Authority, all in one room to say, you know what? This is what we see the world over. This is what we can bring to the table. And this is how it benefits Bermuda in the areas of tourism, in the areas of culture, and the areas of sports. And now I have transportation. So we also have some transportation experts on that committee. So that's where it came from. And that's how we've gotten to today. And I think I must say, I didn't anticipate how popular this committee will be.
What would make you think that it wouldn't be a hot topic?
I don't know. I mean, you see what the promoters do, and you have, the individuals that are involved in Carnival, the individuals that are involved in Cup Match and the like, right? And you're like, well, okay, that's a small audience and it's a niche market, but wow, when we had this press conference a couple of weeks ago, I mean, the way my phone was ringing off the hook, the individuals saying, how can I get involved? How can I meet with them? Why didn't you put me on the committee? And I said, you know what? There's one specific task that the committee has been tasked with at this moment. But as it expands, I know that the committee, yourself, the chair, and all the other members on it are going to be able to engage with all stakeholders. And so their voices are heard and it's put in one succinct location.
So if you were able to sum up the long-term game plan, a long-term goal of why the committee exists, what would you say that is?
Well, it's basically to fill the gaps.
Okay.
As I said before, is that when you focus on from one aspect and the other, there are gaps that you may see as a promoter, and you say, well, why didn't this event have this? And somebody from a tourism marketing perspective would say, well, these events are great, but if you added this to it, it will be able to attract more tourists. And so once we have those in, we're going to identify the gaps. We're going to be able to say, you know what? At one click of the button, you can see an entire calendar of Bermuda from January to December and say, you know what? I've always wanted to go to Bermuda. Carnival is my thing. Wow, look at this events calendar. It says that they have all of their Carnival events around the first week and the second week in June. That's when I'm going to Bermuda. Oh, you know what? I'm a sporting enthusiast. I love cricket. I see that there's this cricket tournament that happens at the beginning of June. Oh, it reminds me of CPL that they have in the Caribbean. I've been to CPL many times. I want to do something different. You know what? Maybe the beginning of June is a good time to come to Bermuda,
check it out.
to check out this cricket event. You know what? I love traveling the world. I've been around the world to many golf tournaments. Wow, look at this. I did not know that Bermuda hosts a PGA tournament at the end of the year. You know what? Let's go down to Bermuda and watch these PGA professionals. So that's the first thing, is to be able to lay out the calendar. Mm-hmm. And as the calendar gets added to, it's locals, it's a guest, everyone will be able to look at this and say, wow, and I get it. And remember, entertainment and events isn't just about those promoters that are putting it on. It also touches the community, because as everyone would know, when you put on an event, you have to support local vendors, you have to import security, marketing professionals, and the like. So it touches.
There are so many people in Bermuda that have no idea what goes into some of these larger scale events, just from a sheer investment perspective, a manpower perspective, like you said, to your point, so many different stakeholders, so many different people that it takes to really make a successful event happen. You know what I mean? And so for the stakeholders out there, the people that are currently in the entertainment industry, the people that are currently in the event space, what can they expect in terms of how this committee is going to affect them, if it affects them at all?
Well, the first thing is that if you have not reached out to the committee, I would say that if you are in the event space, you should reach out, events and entertainment, reach out to the committee. And you can send a simple email, which is bneec@gov.bm. Again, I'll repeat it. It's bneec@gov.bm. And just send an email, say, listen, I've heard about this events committee. I would like an opportunity to share my vision as it pertains to events and entertainment. And when the committee has time, they will book you in and they will listen. And then what you can see is over time, all individuals will have their ideas put into where we are going as far as events and entertainment in Bermuda. Because it's not just the calendar. That's the first part. And then it comes after that was, well, how does the government decide how it supports through funding? Right now, that is it comes under my discretion, and that's the minister's discretion through the grant that has been provided by the government. But we want to move away from that. We want to move to, a system that is more transparent. People can see this is the criteria. This is what we're trying to accomplish by putting on these events and entertainment, and this is how you can get supported. Because right now I have a very small criteria, which is, well, this is what we support and this is what we don't support. Now, the events committee may say, you know what, we want to expand that scope. And to expand that scope, we may need more funding. The government provides more funding. The entertainment and events committee streamlines what the process is, and everyone can feel that, oh, wow, this is a transparent process. I know how I can be supported. And when I put on my event, this is how my event is supporting Bermuda as a whole. So we're trying to get there where everyone is on board and sees the vision, not only for an entrepreneur, but for the island as a whole.
So it sounds to me like you're untangling a web a little bit to try to just make it a straight line towards what makes the most sense.
That's absolutely. Because right now, when decisions are made, people can feel to be, well, there's winners and there's losers. Well,
right.
How did you
come to that decision?
Why did this one not get funded? And it's difficult to let people to see and understand the process as to what we're trying to promote and how we're trying to get there. So once the entertainment committee comes together, you've got 15 individuals in a room and they can say, oh, wow, we see it now. We put it together. We put the criteria in place. We now communicate this to the public. And now you can see it all in action. And the first thing you're going to see is a very robust calendar.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Yeah. I mean, but compared to other places, it might seem a little sparse, especially in certain times of the year.
Yeah.
And so that one of the questions I did want to ask you was from your seat and your position and the time that you've been in the space.
Absolutely.
Where do you feel are kind of like the easiest wins or the places that Bermuda has the most opportunity to really take advantage of maybe, things that we're not doing that we could be doing?
Well, one of the things we're not doing as well as we should is actually telling our story. Because, it's very interesting that once you tell the story and you're able to capture individuals and look and say, oh, really? And you get them to Bermuda, most people say, I cannot tell you why I did not know about this place all this time. I cannot tell you why I didn't come here all this time. And believe it or not, it's a funny story, but some people, the reason they haven't been to Bermuda is because they don't understand that the Bermuda Triangle is not a real thing.
Oh my God. I
it's
still hear it. Everywhere I go, because as you said, when we started, I travel a bit as well. And that's like the number one thing everybody always says. So how'd you get through the triangle? And it's like, are we really talking about this in 2025? But it's a real thing.
It is actually a real thing. So, that's one of the things. And people will go places for events, right? And we've seen it with Cup Match before, and I think a lot of times, that is ours, that is Bermuda's, and we take a lot of pride in our camps and our Cup Match teams and the selection process. But in the global stage now, it's time that we actually expand that and say, you don't actually have to come for Cup Match, but if we can put Cup Match out there and say, you know what, we have events like this and we have cultural celebrations like this throughout the year. Maybe coming for Cup Match, maybe outside of someone's budget due to, our hotel limitations. But guess what? We have a very similar atmosphere early in the year in May. You may want to come for Bermuda Day. You may want to come, maybe Cup match is not the time I want to come, but if I come 3 weeks earlier, 2 weeks earlier, I'll get to experience county game, which is very similar, but just
Cup match junior.
Yeah, exactly. So you get that, right? And it's the same thing when it comes to the carnival events. You may say, well, I may not want to come in June. I can't come, but there are other events that are similar, and you get the similar feel, similar atmosphere, similar cultural experience other times in year. And that's, where the calendar is taking us. That is where I have the experts in the room. And I'm very excited. I'm very excited about what this committee is going to produce.
I can tell.
Yeah, the excitement that the committee has as to the remit and the role that they have done. So this is not something, and I'll admit it's not something that I just popped up, in the sky for me. It was through that collaboration with other islands and other discussions and say, well, how did you do it? And the story that I give, and I'll give this story, is that when I talked to a couple of the individuals that started or revamped Carnival in Jamaica, I said, well, how did you do it? And they said, well, we had to get the buy-in of all stakeholders, bring everybody in the room. Because a lot of times what people do is they say, well, you know what, Rusty, you can't be on this committee because you're a promoter and you're conflicted. So, we're going to keep you outside the room. We'll call you if we need you, but we don't think you should be on this committee. And they said that is absolutely the wrong approach. You want to get all of the individuals that have direct involvement in this entertainment space, in the event space, in the tourism space, bring them in the room and say, how do we all collaborate and make this work for the betterment of other creatives, other promoters, and Bermuda as a whole?
So, I'm glad that you've mentioned, your conversations with different stakeholders and people in the Caribbean a few times. And, you kind of have Bermudians that are either on one side of the fence or the other side of the fence. One side believes that, we don't have many similarities to the Caribbean in terms of how Bermuda as a island and its people are. And then you have people on the other side of the fence that say, we are absolutely very similar to their cousins in the Caribbean, and we should be doing things in that way. How do you feel about that personally?
Well, I'll tell you this, and everyone would know that my background has always been social studies, and it's always been pro-Bermuda. So I was always about, well, this is Bermuda. We have our own culture. It has been, it came from other places, but it's Bermuda. Let's develop what we have. Why are we worrying about anyone else? And it was, discussions with others that said, you actually should go and check it out. Go and have conversations outside of places. And, in the last 2 years, I've had the opportunity in just this year alone to go to Trinidad, both for work, one for Carafesta, Carifta, which is a track and field, which was in April. And then I recently went back to support the Bermuda's national team. But while I was there, you don't just go just for these events. You talk to people, you engage, you ask these questions, and you say, oh, wow, I see it. I had the opportunity for the first time. I went to Barbados this summer for Carafesta. And Carafesta brings everyone from the region to share their culture. And not only were we there just for Carafesta, but Mia Motley at the time, the Honorable Mia Motley, felt it important to have conversations, to have these talks and say, you are here for a cultural expression and a cultural display, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about where we've come from. Let's talk about how we've gotten to this place and how further collaboration could take us further as a region. So when, not to get too political, but when the conversations come up about CARICOM and why Bermuda wants to increase their involvement in CARICOM membership, it is all of these other aspects that we actually have access to that helps us to even expand our thinking and our reach. And so to say that I've been moved over the last couple of years as to why these collaborations and why these conversations and why these visits are important, I think Bermuda will benefit because we have an important 2026 coming up. We have the reopening of the Fairmount Southampton, which has for a long time been a legendary, location in Bermuda's tourism scope. The Bermuda government continues to invest in properties, continues to invest in attractions. It's amazing that everyone was down on Front Street on Sunday and we looked at a drone show and we looked at a fireworks show. Those entrepreneurs and those businesses have directly benefited from the tourism investment order, which the Bermuda government put in place a few years ago to assist. And some might say, well, how does that, tie into tourism? It's an event. It gets people, whether it be locals out, and it's all over social media now. People may say, you know what? I've always looked for somewhere different to go for the holiday season. Wow,
that might be a good space.
That may be a space for us to go. When you see the Gumbays coming down Front Street, when you see our majorettes, and, I looked at it this year, and I will say this, that I said, oh, wow, the Christmas parade is getting just as big as the May 24th parade. I mean,
that's a bold statement.
It's getting there. I mean, you look at the streets and you're saying, "Wow, I might have to start putting some tape down for the Christmas parade."
That's wild.
Hey, it was pretty packed. But the point that I'm trying to make is that now you can have that cultural expressions, and you're going to see more of it, especially with this committee. You're going to see more of it throughout the year.
Absolutely. So, us here obviously coming back now to the Bermuda National Events and Entertainment Committee. It's a whole lot to say. The acronym's even hard to pronounce, but still, the events committee that has been put together has been tasked and mandated with pretty much consolidating Bermuda's calendar on a national level as step one. And things to follow in the future. For anybody who's on the outside, who's not a stakeholder, who's not in the entertainment space, but is just the average Bermudian that wants to give feedback or, wants to have their input felt, do they have that opportunity?
I'll tell you this. And what I have seen, especially in this job, a lot of the advice that you get a lot of times simply comes from conversations on the street. So what I would do, and this is what I'm going to say, I would encourage anyone that is listening to this to go back and look at the press statements that came out about the formation of this committee. I've listed the names. There's about 15 individuals that you will recognize on that. And when you see them, say, hey, you know what? Let's have a quick conversation. Let's have a quick chat about this committee that you're on. Tell me more about it. These are my thoughts. That's the easiest way to do it. To see and seek out one of these individuals and say, let's have a conversation. And then what you can do after that is then formalize it. They may say, you know what, these are some really good ideas. I want the rest of the committee to hear it. We're going to schedule you to come in and meet with this committee directly. That's one of the ways. The other way, you can directly send an email. It will go to the chair. The chair will then reach out and see how the committee engages with you. But I don't want, just like I didn't want to continue making decisions on this magnitude in a silo, I don't want the committee to operate like that either. I want the committee to be the launching pad and the reach to assist me to getting the ideas that make sense to take Bermuda's tourism product, take Bermuda's cultural product, our sporting product, and just blow it up globally.
All right. So, I mean, you hear it right here from the man himself. We're here to blow up the seed.
Absolutely.
So I just want to say, I really do appreciate you taking the time out to share this information, share a little bit of your story. You know what I mean? And another question I have for you while I've got you is there anything personally that, like, if you could change tomorrow and make it something in Bermuda, what would that be?
If I can do it tomorrow.
Yes. No restrictions, no nothing. Just you personally, like, this is what I want to do.
This is one thing that I actually had talked about maybe a year ago. Somebody asked me this. They was like, if you had to leave tomorrow, what would you want your legacy be? I would like a major donor to come in and give us the funding to be able to finish the entire complex of the National Sports Center.
Okay.
and finish it. Because if a lot of people don't know that when the plans originally were done to kind of upgrade that, there was about 5 different phases. And what we've gotten to 3 phases, and there are 2 more that need to go into it. And if we were able to finish that facility in its completion, it will include and be able to modernize sports that we do in Bermuda. And I know if the ladies are listening from the Bermuda Netball Association, that's one thing that they've always continued to ask for. They want a state-of-the-art built facility, an indoor facility, to modernize the game of netball, because they're telling me that throughout the world, nobody plays netball outdoors anymore. So that's just one example.
Gotcha.
And there's other sports that will be able to use that multi-complex facility. Also, we'll be able to upgrade the entertainment facilities that will be able to be housed there. Because if you go around the Caribbean, many of the sporting facilities are actually called entertainment complexes, because they may have a test match at one part of time, and then another part of the year they may have a big cast concert or something. So that's one of the things that I personally, if I could change tomorrow, I would actually finish that facility to be able to invite in more overseas sporting organizations, oversee big concerts where we can be able to have the capacity to really take things to the next level, where I think Bermuda can get to if we had the right infrastructures put in place. So that's one of the things that I would like to see.
So basically, we need a national venue.
Yeah, that's what we're going for. I mean, and we make it work with what we have. And there were people that will argue that, oh, we have spaces that we can do this, but then you also need the corporate buy-in. You need the cash injections, everything, to be able to really kit it out and make it, a fully operational facility. So that would be one of the things that I would love to see us be able to finish soon. So
okay. All right.
Yeah.
And just tying in young people that might be in touch with this, what would you suggest to somebody who's a little bit younger, who maybe isn't a player in any of these spaces yet, but is interested? Well, any advice you would give them?
Well, always is to sit down, have conversations, and make yourself available, because people will always take a young person under their wing if they are showing the initiative. And I'm going to call him by name, but I remember when I was an educator, there's a DJ now, he goes by the name of DJ Fury. And DJ Fury started as many DJs here of carrying the equipment and just kind of standing and watching and getting in. And to see him progress from that point to now, as he's taking his talents to another level, is a good example of how you can get in at a young age, surround yourselves with the right people that are in the right places, that are going to give you the right introductions, and then there's going to come a time where you're going to be expected to take all of that knowledge, put it into practice, and fly on your own. So
and show improvement.
And show improvement. So that's one of the examples that I will give, because I don't keep a list, but even with me in a leadership role now, there are people that go back many years that may or may not know the influence that they have on what they're doing at the time. And if you show an interest and you observe and you take some of those points, you can develop yourself into whatever you want to be based on experience that you've seen. So that would be advice that I've given. I spent a majority of my professional career as an educator. And one of the things I do pride myself on is giving opportunities. So if someone is going to give you the opportunity, you have to be ready to take that opportunity when it comes your way.
That's some solid advice there. Some solid advice. Hopefully somebody's paying attention and really locks on to that. So I really do appreciate your time, sitting down. Well. And, there's so many more things that I would love to be able to talk to. We probably have to schedule anher podcast for that.
We'll schedule another one. We could talk about, what we're doing to just modernize everything, because, this is the Events and Entertainment Committee. But if you really sit down and dig into it, I mean, the tentacles just go out and further and further. I mean, you would see, and I'm getting ready to take a big swing on modernizing transportation. And when you modernize transportation, it actually helps the events that you are putting on, because then you're not tied to, well, if I put an event on down here, how do people get there? How do they get home safely? It all connects. So when we look at legislation and changing legislation that is, 60, 70 years old, this is why we're doing it, because you cannot modernize entertainment, you cannot modernize events if you're going to have a transportation system that is not modernized. So we started it. We've got ShoreLink. You've seen us bring in a couple of new ferries. We're going to be introducing some new rideshare legislation soon. All of that is to make the experience of Bermuda, whether it be locals, the people which I serve every single day, or making the experience of Bermuda a better experience for tourists alike. So it all goes hand in hand, and it all goes together. And I just want to thank you. I want to thank your colleagues that are on this Bermuda Entertainment and Events Committee for the work that they are doing to modernize entertainment events in this island.
Well, definitely looking forward to the future. And is there anything that we might have missed on this topic of the committee that I can think of? Or
I'm sure we can sit here all day and keep talking about topics and ideas. But I think for now, it gives people listening to your podcast a more insight as to why we're doing it and what they should expect coming forward.
Correct. So we'll have to do a part 2 and an update once we get to the next phase. Once the calendar's out there and once we know what the plan is for how we make 2026 and 2027 the biggest years ever in Bermuda. You know what I mean? So yeah, once again, thank you for your time. The Honorable Owen Darrell here with me, JPMP, Minister of Tourism and Transport, Culture and Sport. Got it right this time.
Absolutely.
And is there anybody you want to shout out before you get up out of here?
I do want to shout out to the chair of this committee, Miss Melissa Luby. Thank you for her leadership.
Big shout out to Melissa one time.
So Melissa Luby and everyone on this committee. I don't have the list in front of me, and I'm not going to make that mistake of going down the list and
don't do that.
Leaving someone off. So as I said earlier, I want everyone to go and research this committee, because there will be people that there will be people that you recognize, and you will say, oh, wow. And if you look at their backgrounds, you can see why they are a benefit to what we are trying to do. So also, it is, I don't know when this is going to air, but we are deep into the holiday season. And I want to say thank you to everyone, especially the hospitality workers, that when everyone is looking forward to having days off and holidays off, there are hospitality workers and essential workers that are still working hard and keeping this country going. So thank you to everyone for the work that you are doing in the name of service for this country.
Well, thank you very much. And that's another edition of the Irie 98 podcast. Yours truly, Rusty G, here signing out today. You want more conversations like this? Then make sure you subscribe to the channel that is Irie 98 on YouTube, Irie 98 on your podcast app. Until the next time,